Uh, sounds crazy, but I've been praying and doing some research, and one of the ways we get raped here on this earth is through light manipulation. There's so much deities, angels, species, aliens, organisms of some sort that bend light, cause light, refract light, and even use light to travel. And there's people who move with the speed of light here too. And we are like constantly raped, my nigga. Like there's people who think they had sexual experiences, right? And they really been walking around for all intents and purposes, scrolls, like, draconians. Like, and you have a lot of these angels or even like deities, right? And their name is like the bringer of light, the bringer of light, the God's light, the the light fathers, plenty of nicknames that have the word light and they're over multiple cultures. And they use light to reflect it and abuse our eyes. We can't see. Like we literally have a whole spectrum of things we can't see. Like in our daily life, we have like a whole heap of colors we can't even process in our brain. And these niggas take advantage of that all day. And they be doing like weird shit, like, see, abandoned. That's all abandoned. They be fucking bitches in the mouth. They be shoving drugs into our immediate airspace to change our dopamine effect. They rape our minds. They have like near Jedi like mind trick abilities. And they keep us subdued mentally. And they keep us thinking like in the opposite manner, like good is bad, bad is good, right? And they just like flipping us. They just like treating us like batteries and dollars and making us breed and have emotions because they drink and eat our emotions. You know what I'm saying? So like, I'm very spiritual and I ran into these organisms, you know what I'm saying? Returners. They use time travel. They have a really big sister or big brother like mentality over humans. They think we should do what they say. They think we should just let them conquer us because they can. And I'm saying there's people who know that they're out there. They have different interactions and you know relationships with these beings. But I'm no saint. You know what I'm saying? I know well, definition of saint. Saints been through some shit. So I mean, I could be a saint. But like, for example, I know Satan. You know what I'm saying? And he's nice. He's nice compared to these dudes. He's pretty fucked up. As in, he's really strict, and he's willing to destruct you emotionally in any way. He's willing to. He has not the, but he's not the worst person. I mean, I'm sure it would offend him, and he'll have something to say to me about it later on. And I'm sure they would like to be the worst person, but I know I could say, Bear Quill's a piece of work. Bear Quill's a piece of work. You know what I'm saying? So it's like there's angels, right? And these angels, they use light, right? But these Lizardian type things, they're technologically a little bit more advanced. Some of these angels have time influence too. Like I know Satan has influence over TVA like activities. Like you've seen the Loki show. He has influence over TVA. He's hunted me my entire life and molested me multiple times. But it's like if God's here, you know what I'm saying, and we overcome things every day, what else can we overcome? And I've grown to understand my relationship with him and his dominion over this world, this earthly plane. And I also learned, that lots of things are sent here because people like me sometimes don't want to be quiet or don't want to accept a, 9 to 5 job or really just don't want to be cucked. And I learned from an early age that everything is metaphorically, like I have my third eye awakened and I seen like metaphorically everything just pumping each other, just fucking and raping. And it's really butt focused and it's really focused on kids. It's sick, especially America, but there's lots of other countries that are nearly exactly the same. And they're holding hands, chanting about abortions, rapes, and crime. Some of these things I benefit from personally. Like crime, there's crime that I benefit from personally. There's people who keep me from doing things, you know what I'm saying, that I want to do. Like I would like to just be a pretty much an oligarch. But that's, I know I was sacrificed. I had so many interactions with the otherworldly and the supernatural that it's hard not to be pessimistic in the normal day-to-day life. But there's scientists who know so much. There's doctors who know so much. There's people who know so much. And as long as they're willing to know that you won't stop their grind in their other day-to-day basis, you know what I'm saying? I guess confronting and asking them is one of the best things to do. I mean, they'll hide, they'll scatter. I see it, I feel it. That's why I look up and side to side when I talk. They'll scatter, they'll rearrange their information. But if they see that we're okay, we know you guys like the kids, we know you guys like to abuse, and we're still here, maybe, you know what I'm saying? I can come next to you guys because I know you guys, that's your hangups. You like to eat people's emotions, okay? I do. I've learned to, living that side, but you guys, always noticing you guys, always learned that, to eat emotions at times, because if you don't, you'll realize, wow, the world is big and I'm small. And not only did it not owe me anything, it prepared to whoop my ass before I came out of the world, before I came out of my other world. Like, I came into this world as God himself. And then I see so many things that scratch my head. I'm like, yo, this Jesus nigga, I know him. These pagan deities, I know them. Last time we crossed paths, we were different figures in different soul systems. But I ran into them again, and I'm like, okay, the voice of my, sarcophagus or my pre-birth experience lets me know that, okay, we got a revenge, we got a lust, we got a sin, we got a accuracy, we got a healthy diets and dance, spiritual things. I'm supposed to do spiritual voodoo. And the Seven Princes of Hell has had a lot to say about that, good and bad. I'm not even privy to the things that they were doing before, like the age of 20, 20 now, 22 now, about to be. But before like the age of 17, 18, I wasn't even privy that I was direct contact with lots of the Seven Princes of Hell. And I even had something to do with releasing Azazel. It was an accident. I promise you, I'd just be like, Azazel, where's him at? Him's locked up. World not nice right now. Him locked up. What happened worse if I take him out? Zazel, what you doing? Why are you locked up? All these makeup people evil. I know, makeup, costumes and the abuse of the human mind is real. When they said they learned beauty from the angels, they learned how to kill in secrecy and use emotions and beauty and seduction to kill men. Men have been the top trade. They like to kill us, they like to eat us, and they like to break us up. Like to give us something, it's called hooking. They give us something and they break us up. They give us something and they break us up. And we replace it. It's like building armor, like building scales. And they want to build, especially black men like me, into lizard warriors by taking us into an emotional situation and then destroying our emotions and then allowing ourselves to fortify ourselves and build ourselves back up. And then giving what we built to a, leader in the pack and then allowing them to give us something back. And then eventually that's where it ends, because that's where their goal would be as a leader, unless you were exceptionally okay with the situation and tradition of eating and using. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's happened. over and over again in history. Well, supposedly there's reports of it every time, and people have spoke of it every time. And I guess they come here like, well, if people, what I'm saying, taste good and they got miniatures, what I'm saying, they got short people over here who would, let us manipulate them however we like. They're like, that's our cue to just come back through time and play in level one. It's like the level 99s just came back to level one. You know what I'm saying? And they're just scoring 30 on us every time they walk by. Like, you can't see us, you can't smell us, you don't want to look directly at us for some reason. Sometimes people just like automatically get the sense to just put their head down or to the side, or their eyes just float to the left or right. That's because they're walking at us or through us and in front of us, and they don't want us to see them. And our bodies know we don't even want to see this thing because it can take our will. We don't even want to see them, really. The only reason I say I want to see them is because I'm such a daredevil. I could lose more in my regular social life. I could lose more, right? I could lose more in my social life. I could lose more in my identical life to most people. You know what I'm saying? Insecure, don't like talk about sex too much. Been through some traumatic sexual experiences, and they bother me. So I'm like really jealous, really like angsty, like do not fuck my hoes. I think my hoes is the sex poses. I think the sex in general is my hoes. And they, like everyone's robbed me of my hoes. And I'm like, wow. But other than that, there's a strong influence of bringing what you don't like to someone and breaking their spirit and getting them to a point where you can manipulate and control them. There's lots of steps in that type of stuff. I haven't dusted off those skills in so long because I don't know, taking the moral high road. People hate me for it. They're like, dude, you've been a dirty nigga in the past life. We've known you. We've known you. And I'm like, oh, it's just something about it. It just bites my jaw. It just bites my jaw. And I think about the same evil shit that others would do or I would do. I'm like, oh, man, you're sick. You're sick. You're sick. I want to eat you. It's not a disdain, but it's like, oh man, I can't say it because you have predator senses. You know what I'm saying? And like these things are like the apex predator on the apex predator, and they attack so viciously, and their mindsets are cold. Same with angels and demons. Demons have more of a friendly mindset, but they're willing to drain you. They're like parasites. They will drain you because you don't listen. They'll just silently judge you. Demons are like silent judges. They're like, okay, I'm helping you. Taking that though. Taking that thing off the desk. You're gonna lose it in 2 days. But other than that, what else? What else? That can't have that shit either. But other than that, I'm gonna help you out with something. What you need? You want some money? Some bitches on your dick. Half of them is bots or light bending source. More than half of them is. That's why they say ban abortions, because they want these generation babies, these hybrids now, these halflings. We have had stories of elves, fairies, and fae for the longest time. Elf, fairy, and fae are known to switching a child out, and hopping realms or shape shifting. You have shamans, normal ass shamans, who do lots of shadow work in the world, who just turn into a rooster or a crow. But the thing is, right, when we say or we think we evaded nature, nature came to get us in our weakest position: comfort. That being said, comfort is a drug. It's very addictive. I know I committed like verbal suicide, not dropping where I live, knowing that I live in like land that's densely compacted with rape, hate, slavery, abuse, murder, mistrial, so much mistrial. That's one of the sacred holy sins that people organize for people. That's an actual form of sex for certain celestial beings. Getting people mistrialed, getting someone's financial blessings cursed. So if it's a joint behavior, so many angels and people, so many women, men, and celestial beings have deleted someone's financials or deleted someone's opportunity at a success or opportunity at sex. If someone steals your sex, right, at any point in your life, just know your whole mindset is frozen at that point. And now you're like, well, my worth has changed because someone can steal something that's sacred to me, whether it be an opportunity and a loved one, someone takes your girlfriend, someone takes the girl you've been interested in, someone takes a boy or girl you've been mutually distant to, I mean, mutually loving to, and then I guess the lesson is just take them back because they'll do it again. There's fates, there's influence. And when we're experiencing those bad things, it's important to swirl a little bit, let your emotions out a little bit because we have overlords and they would appreciate if their medicine they sent you had a reaction. And secondly, there's a benefit to releasing some emotion or holding it and being productive with it. Like we have this emotional energy channeling your chest and your chakras feel like sometimes minds feel like they're outside of my being. Like say one like it's screwed somewhere, hitting the floor, dragging sometimes because I do so much spiritual battle. But I know that there's time will come when I will take a break from this trailblazing spiritually, trailblazing and protesting. You know what I'm saying? Protesting. I mean, we all can say we had a bad shot at things, but I know at some point, we're just going to work out of it. But I know that there's a person, there's a being, there's a thing anywhere in the world having influence on our day-to-day lives and our fates, then they definitely need to be held accountable. Far better, because they know they didn't do a bad job. They wanted some fucked up shit to happen to all of us regularly. And they wanted us to, you know what I'm saying? But I'm saying there's a different route. Like we don't have to have these type of strifes we have occurring regularly that are available to us. Like at a different time, strife only went so far because you didn't want to keep that deceitful mindset up so long. If you had groups and territories that were more so free and they had to have such a powerful influence from, like, say, a government, like the governments we have are great at doing stuff. They're graded. They have a grade, but they're degrading us like cheese, honestly. Everything's a system for grading and molestation. When you really look at every system we have, every process we have, it's a systematic molestation or rape. And really, it's not even rape because the women do it willingly. Some of the men do it willingly. It's just consensual sex with our governments, our activities, and our leaders. What we have now, what we set things up now. If we take a break to look at stuff, like really contextualize what's going on, you could put a rape metaphor on almost all the things we do daily and yearly and weekly, even tradition, customs, like those are all forms of like light rape. You know what I'm saying? And speaking of light, those light angels, those light workers, those people, they can bend what we see. And light has a physical form. Like those draconian people, when you see them dressed in their face and stuff, yeah, we can see their face, but they could be 7 foot tall. And they're physically patting their head at 5'3", like, oh, I'm just here. And their eye wiggles a little bit. That means they're bad actors. They want attention because they'll eat you. And then they'll replace you. They say, you want attention. I know someone like me, they want to replace me. What they'll do is maybe kill me, put a clone of my body there. But even so, they just take someone I like because I'm that badass. They'd rather hurt a puppy because they know I have eternal organs and muscles that are kept better alive. These niggas would rather hurt a puppy and a chicken in front of me. They wouldn't hurt me, not because they can't, right? They have. I say this: they have a better chance hurting your grandma than they have hurting me, and that's fair enough chances for me to get the fuck out the way. Oh my God, I'm the God and the devil. Kid you not, the devil dance, so does God. And what we're telling you now is there is no next chapter. We're in the unscripted times. We've entered the chapter where things aren't scripted anymore, where we have to consider the really old traditions, oral traditions, books, pamphlets, and stories as something a lot more than a fairy tale, because they have information that includes what's going on now, very laced through all of the history. The Cometics knew the aliens, the Egyptians knew the aliens. They were really an extension of the Nephilim. So were the Jotuns, or the Etons, or the Moitans of Norse mythology. They descendants of more so these giants of men of renown and sons of God and second generation sons of gods. Those things are like angels, gods, as in little g gods, like straight up sons and daughters of God. Like God just, like, how he just poofed the baby in Mary Belly. Him just poofed them niggas in the sky and told them to go on the ground and gave them other poof nigga families. Like for the Egyptians, like the Greeks, right? The Egyptians, on the other hand, they were a different branch of Jotuns and Nephilims. And they knew people like Loki, him's a Jotun / Nephilim. Him went all over the place and spread the seeds of, his dance, his culture, his tribes. You can see Loki influencing a lot of tribes, tribal areas, a lot of places where lying is high in demand, because him went through there and schooled their ass on lying like it was a teaching class. He went there, put his ass in everybody's face. He basically showed his ass around the world multiple times, like he's seen in that show. Him being the guy with the duffel bag jumping out the plane, stuff like that. There's examples of multiple gods. Like even Dionysus has been around the world in different areas before, under different causes. Like him has been himself, but like, for example, there's people like Apollo. I'm gonna get a piece with the gods today, because they curse heavily still. We just have so much stuff to combat them, so much snitches, right? When we say, I'm not going to speak heavily on the girls either. The girls, just like the aliens. Speaking on girls, speaking on gays, speaking on girls is like speaking on the government. You might not get hit, but who's to say? You know what I'm saying? 8 steps down the financial process. Before your shit gets to you, your shit gonna get to you the same. Speak on the women, but first and foremost, speak on the gays, speak on the government, speak on the aliens, speak on those gods. Those gods are petty and they can fight all day as far as muting your ass out. They're like, half of them don't even really like prayer for real. They be like, man, I know the big G at one point. Him was my play date in heaven. Him spanked my ass and told me I'm God or something and sent me down to be my family, and then I instantly forgot him orders. If you ask most of the guys about what their relationship with the big G is, they'll find that the big G was like around them for multiple times in their life, like a spirit guide, because they're like a super person. You know what I'm saying? So their spirit guide would be each other, or like the big G, or like some deceptive force, like a parasite. We have multi-dimensional things, right? We have realms, and we have dimensions. So when you have dimensions and realms, things get a little spicy, a little slicey, because you have dimensions, and that's just leaking out niggas' brains. Like a multi-dimensional parasite can be just a evil emotion a sick perversion and a held in lie, right? In someone's brain and chest for a couple months, and it can just seep out and enter a different dimension and then begin to suck other families and like inject those emotions into a certain individual. And then those entities aren't often named. There are some, right? There are some that are named. Those are like a dime a dozen. How many people are there? Then how many people create spirits in their heads? Then you ask how many animals are there? Animal kingdom is real as fuck. Ask the Native Americans. They have so much animism, not as in people turning into animals or half animal, half person, but straight up like the creation story. It's an owl, a dog, and a donkey. They're like, man, an owl, a dog, and a donkey were here before us. And they told us what the fuck happened to the universe in our section of our worlds, you know? Because back before we could fly and do space travel and shit, the world, you know what I'm saying, was a general guess to where the fuck I've been at or where the fuck anyone I know's been at. You get me? Like, so don't get diced up in your religions too much. You know, I feel like it's good to get the information out of a religion. Definitely read one, but be sure to know that the people when writing them probably weren't even sure of the accuracy of the exclusivity of their religion. They just know that this was their sacrifice, their time, their experience of a couple individuals, right? It's put into a big piece of work and then sold like a product. And you know, the sales market is always tricky. So when it comes to religion, just take them as stories. What did the gods and deities, right, of those particular subject religions? So not even, when you leave like a book or a story, you leave out so many deities, right? Because some of them are added before or after the writing of the book. A lot of them are told on scrolls, pictures, tablets, or like a oral tradition, right? But back to the topic of rape. Don't pray to God, stop rape, please. They like it. They all had death with the sisters. They all had death with the sisters. I don't know how many people was like secretly in their head, like, bro, it would be so much easier if my parents just told me I got a mate with my sister. Then, if that's the case, then all power to you. All power to you. I'm only saying that because when I get those feelings in my chest, I'm like, bro, I know I don't speak on sex topics ever. And I know that that's one of the things eating me up inside. I'm smiling because it's great, right? One of my biggest problems in life is I don't like the sound of rape topics. I keep hearing them though. Like in my normal like week to week life, I keep hearing them, you know, so it's a little frustrating. And I know it's like because I've asked to do things based on like experiences I've had. And I'm like, well, if this was allowed, right? Then who be so mighty to stop anything? You know? Like some of the things I've seen in the world or I've heard in my senses or like my body email, I just get an email in my body, like I'll be stretching and moving and then something will fracture and release some like energies, some chemicals in my head and I think that's how they deliver drugs too. We have like parts of our bone wear off and they flick into our bloodstream or into our body and they give a chemical reaction to our brain like dopamine. But yeah, it's just like certain things that I'm aware of or been around, that was God himself displaying him obnoxious ass. And when I say I'm God, right? About 8 months ago, when I was praying, this is only after or before I knew I was a God. I know people just like, I'm born of God, I'm God, and I got my spirit guides, you know. Spirit guides something, but they choose people, and the whole spirit realm is very picky and choosy, very predetermined,
very snobby and very, very, very evil. And it's not in a aggressive manner. It's a casual way. It is casual evil. There is evil as casual sex. Now, I say casual sex as, do you want people having ties to each other emotionally when they walk past? Like, do you want to compete over people you walk past? You know what I'm saying? Because if that's the case, then I'm just saying it can be like destructive mentally to certain people's, as like continued porn watch, uh, bad diet, lack of sleep. You know what I'm saying? Some of these things that we do is beyond our help. And I'm like, well, I know Christianity, I know Jesus. I've had experience with Jesus. I know him. I know, well, him would say, you can't say you know me. You don't talk to me only. You know what I'm saying? That's what him would say. You don't talk to me only. You can't say you know me. Don't come to me with that pagan ideology. Him always says that. Get your pagan ass out of my face, Valley. And says, it looks like we the only ones going to heaven when I come back. That's because there's so much goddamn crookedness. Like, we are like slime. There's a reason why there's alien races here raping us. They're here raping us, man. That's what they came here. They said there's fun and they allow rape on Earth. Not because people can just walk up to one another and grab it, because like the mindset of capitalism, like our mindsets are so wired to where like everything we do is a slight, always taking or infringing on someone else's will in order to do our own, or just to feel good about deciding on our own. We do an action or a ritual or some type of thing that slightly impedes someone else's will. I'm saying when we were more stretched out, with less of us and more of diverse nature, we didn't have the same issues with each other, but I guess nature finds a way to pick on the weak. I just wish it were, the weak get eaten and not the weak get mentally abused. Because I feel like, even eating, that's a form of domination, you know what I'm saying? But like when it's for survival, then it's not so personal. Like when someone's eating to survive, like if a saber-toothed tiger were to eat your dog and him was starving and hungry and him walked 17 miles and couldn't find anything, or him missed multiple times, and then he just said, okay, I perused past this dude right here, him can't escape from me finally, and him eats you, is it more, survival of the fittest and not systematic picking out and selling and extort and what's it called? What's the word? Not extorting, but capitalizing on the weak and farming the weak and siphoning the weak in different areas and doing the same with the medium and the strong. That's like we're just playing big computer matrix sim games. So I'm saying we're getting picked on, right? We've made our own matrix and people have invaded it. Imagine the Rick and Morty episode when the people put the universe in the tank. Imagine we're in the third tank and people have invaded the first tank and the second tank, and we're like, who's running the tank? It's like it was a tank, right? And then the person had a tank, they had a universe in their tank, hopped in that tank, and they found a person with a box in the universe, a universe box, hopped in his box. And now there are 3 universes in, and to them things seem normal. Now you have corruption in government. People were like, now we're in control of the box because y'all was playing with some heavy shit and y'all not ready to stop. You know what I'm saying? They ready to dibble and dabble in full blown display of technology and stuff. There's a reason why we don't show our technology, because we don't know who can stop it. You have to go through rigorous months of paperwork to do any type of government unveiling of a project, technology, anything like that. We have to wait. Not because they can't whip something up in 2 months and drop it like a new shoe, right? Because shoes can get whipped up in a couple months. I'm a designer. I could make you 2 shoes, right? That doesn't mean it's easy. It's a whole art behind it. But once the shoes are made, right, ideally, say there's a team who just looks over it and it's like, is this copyright infringement? No, we drop it. As far as like, there's not a information and intelligence or CIA that has to go into doing countless apps and stations and works to clear ourselves, for the next available movement. So, yeah, there's just so many layers to things. Like when we say things are onion, things are an onion, and we don't even know what letter of the onion we're in. We can be in the first skin, and I've also run into people, right, who giving me like vibes specifically that they came from a adjacent universe. Like I met people, right, who knew me, but to me they were like, you had long hair and you were a female. I've gotten that lots of times. Like I have alternates that are primarily female, and that's why I have like a hard time dealing with the idea of like someone being a treesh pretty much around me. Because I'm like, no, treesh are like pets, right? They're like hoes. People like pets. I'm like, they got a whole bunch of personality. And also, I feel like because in most of my female lives, in my other timelines, I suppose, or my alternate universes where I exist, I have ones where I'm a person, right? But I ones where I'm animal life. I have ones where I'm female, primarily animal and female. So in this universe, I'm a male, but I could explain some of the things I had gone through in the past that in most other timelines I'm an animal or a female. And that will explain like a lot of my I guess sexual hangups or something. Because I've been an animal and a female in concurrent timelines. So what happens to me there is like different because if I was a male, I probably, feel a little different about it. That's all. It's just a little bit harder to get dominated as a male. It is. It's a little bit harder. And I know females deal with it because they just do. And they do it. They deal out the dominating. They deal it out. So their frail forms don't intimidate them or anyone else because they know they know themselves far more than the average Joe. But I guess I'll leave it there.